The Las Vegas Strip is dying, and what I'm about to show you will shock you to your core. While millions still flock to Sin City every year, behind the glittering facades and flashing neon lights, a financial disaster is unfolding that threatens to bring down some of the most iconic casinos in the world. In the past 5 years alone, we've witnessed over $12 billion in casino losses, mass layoffs, and properties that once symbolized American excess now standing on the brink of bankruptcy. Today, we're counting down the 10 casinos you should absolutely avoid on the Las Vegas Strip. Not because they're bad for gambling, but because they might not even exist next year. This is the untold story of Vegas's collapse, and by the end of this video, you'll understand why the house isn't always winning anymore. Number 10. The Sahara Las Vegas, the desert mirage that lost its water. Let's start with a casino that perfectly embodies Vegas's current crisis, the Sahara. Once a crown jewel of the Strip, this property has burned through over $800 million in the past decade trying to stay relevant. The numbers don't lie. In 2019, the Sahara reported a staggering 47% occupancy rate during peak season. That's almost half empty when they should be printing money. Compare that to the industry standard of 85% occupancy, and you're looking at a property hemorrhaging cash faster than a slot machine pays out. But here's where it gets really disturbing. The Sahara's parent company, SLS Entertainment, has quietly been selling off pieces of the property. First, they sold the retail spaces, then the restaurants. Now, industry insiders are whispering about a complete asset liquidation by 2027. What killed the Sahara? Poor location, outdated amenities, and most importantly, a complete misunderstanding of what modern Vegas visitors actually want. While competitors invested in high-end experiences, the Sahara doubled down on cheap buffets and penny slots. The result? A $340 million renovation in 2019 that failed to attract the younger demographic they desperately needed. Today, walk through the Sahara on a Wednesday night and you'll see what Vegas's future looks like without serious intervention, empty gaming floors, closed restaurants, and staff who know their days are numbered. Number 9. Treasure Island, when pirates become paupers. Treasure Island represents everything wrong with Vegas's outdated business model. This property, once famous for its spectacular pirate show, has become a cautionary tale of what happens when casinos stop evolving. The financial data is absolutely brutal. Treasure Island's revenue per available room, the key metric for casino profitability, has dropped 34% since 2015. We're talking about going from $180 per room per night to just $119. In Vegas terms, that's financial suicide. But the real shocker, Treasure Island's gaming revenue has collapsed by over $400 million since its peak in 2007. That's not a decline, that's a free fall. Here's what's really happening behind closed doors. The property's owners have been in talks with liquidation firms since 2022. Sources inside the casino industry tell me that TI is actively looking for buyers, but here's the catch: nobody wants it. The location is decent, the building is solid, but the brand is toxic. Treasure Island represents Old Vegas, and Old Vegas is dying. The pirate theme that once drew families now feels dated and irrelevant to the Instagram generation that drives modern tourism. Most telling of all, the casino's marketing budget has been slashed by 78% over the past 3 years. When a Vegas casino stops advertising, that's not cost-cutting, that's giving up. Number 8. Circus Circus, the greatest show that nobody wants to see. If you want to see Vegas's decline in real time, spend an hour at Circus Circus. This property isn't just struggling, it's actively repelling the customers that modern Vegas needs to survive. The numbers paint a picture of absolute devastation. Circus Circus reported an average daily rate of just $89 per room in 2023. That's less than many highway motels. For context, the Strip average is $247. But room rates are just the beginning. The casino slot machine revenue has dropped by 52% since 2018. Table games are down 61%. Food and beverage revenue has fallen 43%. Every single revenue stream is in collapse. Here's the part that should terrify anyone thinking about visiting. Maintenance and upkeep expenses at Circus Circus have been cut by 67% over the past 5 years. What does that mean for guests? broken elevators, malfunctioning air conditioning, and slot machines that eat your money without paying out. Industry analysts are calling Circus Circus a zombie property, technically still operating, but functionally dead. The casino's parent company, MGM Resorts, has been trying to sell the property for over 3 years with no serious buyers. Why won't anyone touch it? The circus theme is commercially worthless in 2026. The infrastructure needs $200 million in immediate repairs, and the location has become synonymous with budget tourism that modern Vegas is trying to escape. The writing is on the wall. Circus Circus will likely close its doors permanently within the next 18 months. Number 7. Stratosphere, reaching new heights in financial failure. The Stratosphere Tower may be the tallest structure in Vegas, but it's also home to one of the Strip's biggest financial disasters. This property has been bleeding money so consistently that it's become a case study in how not to run a casino. Let's talk numbers that will make your head spin. The Stratosphere's debt-to-equity ratio has reached 847%, meaning they owe 8.5 times more money than the property is actually worth. That's not sustainable, that's financial catastrophe waiting to happen. The casino floor occupancy during peak hours averages just 31%. Think about that. During the busiest times, when Vegas casinos should be packed wall to wall, the Stratosphere is 2/3 empty. But here's the real kicker. The tower itself, the property's main attraction, generates less than 12% of total revenue despite being the reason most people visit. The observation deck, the rides, the restaurants at the top, all together, they bring in less money than a single successful slot machine section at Bellagio. The Stratosphere's location is killing it, too far north on the Strip, isolated from the main action and surrounded by areas that tourists actively avoid after dark. Real estate experts value the land at 78% less per square foot than comparable Strip properties. Here's what industry insiders won't tell you. The Stratosphere has been in quiet bankruptcy proceedings since 2024. They're restructuring debt, selling assets, and preparing for either a complete rebrand or closure. Number 6. Rio All-Suite Hotel and Casino, when the party's over. The Rio was supposed to be Vegas's answer to Carnival in Brazil. Instead, it became a masterclass in how quickly a casino empire can crumble when management loses touch with reality. The financial collapse has been swift and merciless. Rio's gaming revenue has dropped by 59% since 2020, while operating costs have actually increased by 23%. That's the business equivalent of driving off a cliff while pressing the accelerator. But the real story is in the details. The Rio's famous Masquerade Village, once a major tourist attraction, now sits largely empty. Retail occupancy is at 34%, restaurant occupancy is at 41%, and entertainment bookings have fallen by 67%. The property's most famous attraction, the World Series of Poker, was moved to different venues starting in 2022. That wasn't just a business decision, it was a public admission that the Rio could no longer handle major events. Here's something that will shock you. The Rio's employee turnover rate hit 147% in 2023. That means the average job lasted less than 8 months before people quit or were laid off. When casino workers, traditionally some of the most loyal employees in hospitality, start fleeing in droves, you know the ship is sinking. The Rio's parent company has been quietly shopping the property to international buyers. But here's the problem. The casino license issues, union contracts, and infrastructure problems make it nearly impossible to sell at any reasonable price. Industry predictions suggest the Rio will either close permanently or undergo such massive restructuring that it will essentially become a completely different property by 2028. Number 5. SLS Las Vegas, the renovation that became a funeral. SLS Las Vegas represents one of the most expensive failures in modern casino history. This property has burned through over $1.2 billion in renovations, rebrands, and restructuring, only to end up in worse shape than when it started. The transformation from Sahara to SLS to Sahara again cost approximately $415 million, money that vanished like chips at a blackjack table. But here's the truly disturbing part. Despite all that investment, revenue per available room actually decreased by 28% post-renovation. The casino floor tells the real story. Slot machine density has been reduced by 43% since the renovation, not by choice, but because large sections of the gaming floor can't attract enough players to justify keeping the machines plugged in. Food and beverage operations are in complete chaos. The property has closed 7 restaurants since 2022, laid off 34% of its kitchen staff, and reduced operating hours for remaining outlets by an average of 31%. But here's what should terrify potential visitors. Maintenance requests at SLS have increased by 156% over the past 2 years, while the maintenance staff has been cut by 29%. That means longer waits for basic repairs, more broken amenities, and a generally deteriorating guest experience. The casino's concert venue, which was supposed to be a major revenue driver, has seen bookings drop by 71% since 2023. A-list performers are actively avoiding the property due to technical issues and poor attendance numbers. SLS Las Vegas isn't just failing, it's become a warning to other properties about what happens when you spend millions on cosmetic changes while ignoring fundamental business problems. Number 4. The Strat. Betting everything on a single card. The Strat, formerly known as Stratosphere, has undergone more rebrands and ownership changes than any other major Vegas property, and that instability is finally catching up with them in the most devastating way possible. Financial filings reveal that the Strat has defaulted on loan payments 3 times in the past 18 months. The total debt load has reached $1.8 billion against assets valued at just $1.1 billion. In simple terms, they owe $700 million more than the entire property is worth. The casino floor statistics are absolutely devastating. Average bet per player has dropped from $47 in 2019 to just $23 in 2024. Gaming win per square foot, the most important metric for casino profitability, has fallen 61% over the same period. Here's something that will shock you about the Strat's operations. They've been forced to close sections of the casino floor during off-peak hours because they can't afford to staff them. On Tuesday and Wednesday nights, approximately 40% of the gaming floor sits empty and dark. The tower attractions, which should be the Strat's ace in the hole, are bleeding money. The rides generate just $2.1 million annually, while costing $8.7 million to operate and maintain. That's a $6.6 million loss every year from their signature attraction. But here's the most disturbing detail. The Strat's insurance coverage has been reduced by 43% over the past 2 years as premium costs skyrocketed and the company struggled to make payments. For a property with extreme rides 1,100 feet in the air, reduced insurance coverage isn't just financially risky, it's potentially catastrophic. Industry experts are openly speculating that the Strat will be forced into bankruptcy proceedings before the end of 2026. Number 3. Westgate Las Vegas, the superbook that couldn't beat the house. Westgate Las Vegas, home to the world's largest sportsbook, is facing a crisis that perfectly illustrates how even Vegas's most innovative features can't save a property from fundamental business failures. The numbers are absolutely staggering. Despite having the largest sportsbook in the world, Westgate's sports betting revenue has actually decreased by 34% since 2022. How is that possible in an era of explosive sports betting growth, mismanagement, outdated technology, and a location that keeps getting worse every year? But sports betting is just the beginning of Westgate's problems. Hotel occupancy has crashed to 41%, meaning more than half the rooms sit empty every single night. The average daily rate has dropped to $67 per room, which is essentially budget motel pricing in one of the world's most expensive cities. Here's something that should terrify anyone considering a stay. Westgate has eliminated housekeeping services for stays under 3 nights. That means if you're visiting Vegas for a typical weekend, you'll be staying in rooms that aren't being cleaned between guests. The casino floor is a ghost town. Westgate has removed 38% of their slot machines over the past 3 years, not for renovation, but because they couldn't generate enough revenue to justify the floor space. Table games are down to just 41 tables from a peak of 89 inches, 2019. Food and beverage operations are in complete collapse. The property has closed 12 restaurants and bars since 2022, laid off 67% of kitchen staff, and reduced room service to just 4 hours per day. But here's the detail that reveals just how desperate Westgate has become. They've started charging guests for amenities that were previously free. Wi-Fi now costs $15 per day. Pool access requires a $25 resort fee. Even ice machines require a room key that costs $10 to replace if lost. Westgate Las Vegas isn't just struggling, it's nickel and diming guests to death while the property crumbles around them. Number 2, Lucky Dragon, the casino that gambled everything and lost. Lucky Dragon represents the single most spectacular casino failure in modern Vegas history. This property burned through $2.4 billion in development costs, operated for less than 2 years, and closed owing creditors over $600 million. But here's why Lucky Dragon deserves the number 2 spot on this list. It's about to reopen, and every indicator suggests the second attempt will be even more disastrous than the first. The original Lucky Dragon failed for reasons that haven't changed. The location, at the north end of the strip, remains terrible. The Asian-focused concept still appeals to less than 8% of Vegas visitors. The building design still creates operational nightmares that drive up costs and drive down efficiency. New ownership has invested an additional $340 million in renovations, but industry analysis shows they've made the same fundamental mistakes as the previous owners. Too much focus on niche demographics, too little attention to mass market appeal. Here's the most damning evidence. The new Lucky Dragon has pre-sold less than 23% of its hotel rooms for the 6 months after reopening. In Vegas, successful properties sell out months in advance. Lucky Dragon can't fill a quarter of its rooms even with heavily discounted advance bookings. The casino floor will feature 87% fewer slot machines than comparable strip properties. Table games will be limited to 12 tables total. Food and beverage options have been reduced to just 3 restaurants and 2 bars. But here's the detail that should terrify investors. Lucky Dragon's new ownership has already secured bridge financing for operational shortfalls before the property has even reopened. They're borrowing money to cover expected losses before they start losing money. Lucky Dragon isn't just doomed to fail again, it's been designed to fail from the beginning. Number 1, Trump International Hotel Las Vegas, the tower that couldn't trump reality. And now we reach the number 1 casino you should absolutely avoid, Trump International Hotel Las Vegas. This property represents everything wrong with modern Vegas wrapped up in a single gold-plated package of financial disaster. Trump Las Vegas has the distinction of being a non-gaming hotel in a city built on gambling, which immediately put it at a massive disadvantage. But the problems go far deeper than just missing slot machines. The financial picture is absolutely catastrophic. Trump Las Vegas has defaulted on major loan payments 4 times since 2020. The property owes approximately $650 million while being valued at just $280 million. That's a $370 million gap between debt and value, essentially a financial black hole. Occupancy rates tell the real story of this property's failure. Trump Las Vegas averages just 34% occupancy year-round, compared to 78% for comparable strip hotels. During peak convention season, when every other major property is completely booked, Trump Las Vegas still has 40% of rooms sitting empty. Here's something that will shock you about the Trump brand's impact on business. Corporate bookings have dropped by 89% since 2020. Convention business has fallen by 67%. And group bookings are down 73%. The Trump name, once synonymous with luxury, has become commercially toxic in the hospitality industry, but the operational details reveal just how desperate this property has become. Trump Las Vegas has eliminated daily housekeeping, reduced front desk hours, closed the gym and spa on weekdays, and limited room service to just 2 hours per day. The restaurant situation is particularly telling. Trump Las Vegas opened with 5 high-end dining establishments. Today, only 1 remains fully operational, and it's only open Thursday through Sunday. Here's the most damning piece of evidence. Trump Las Vegas has been quietly trying to remove the Trump name from the property for over 2 years. but contractual obligations and licensing fees make it financially impossible to rebrand. The property is essentially trapped in a brand that's killing its business, owing more money than it's worth, and operating with skeleton staff while major systems fail around paying guests. Trump Las Vegas represents the absolute worst of Vegas's current crisis, a property that combines financial irresponsibility, operational failures, and brand toxicity into a perfect storm of hospitality disaster. Conclusion: the house always wins until it doesn't. What you've just witnessed is the systematic collapse of Las Vegas as we know it. These 10 properties represent over $15 billion in combined debt, thousands of lost jobs, and the slow death of the American dream that Vegas once represented. The root causes are clear: over-leveraging during the boom years, failure to adapt to changing demographics, and most importantly, management teams that forgot the fundamental rule of hospitality: give customers what they actually want, not what you think they should want. But here's what's really terrifying: these 10 properties are just the beginning. Industry analysts predict that up to 40% of current Strip properties will either close, undergo major ownership changes, or be demolished and rebuilt within the next decade. The Vegas you know today will not exist in 2035. The question isn't whether the Strip will survive, it's what will replace it. If you found this investigation as shocking as I did, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. We're going to continue following this story as it unfolds, because the collapse of Vegas isn't just entertainment news, it's an economic earthquake that will reshape American tourism forever. And remember, in a city built on gambling, the biggest risk isn't what happens at the tables, it's trusting that the house itself will still be standing tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.